Nalini, will you be able to speak in English? Like in Welcome, you're watching Business Today. I am Sakshi Batra, and on this show, we are going to be discussing about what the Supreme Court has really said about the central government's stand on cryptocurrencies. I have with me principal correspondent of India Today, who's been covering Supreme Court from morning. Thank you so much, Nalini, for taking out time for this discussion. Help me understand, what are you picking up, and what was this observation by the Supreme Court? What have the statements come out?
Well, actually, cryptocurrency has definitely been a hot topic ever since even Nirmala Sitharaman came out with a budget. And today, the Supreme Court was actually taking up a case for hearing regarding an accused who was accused of scamming several people under something called a gain Bitcoin scam. So it was in that reference that the bench of Justice D.Y. Chandrachud as well as Justice Surya Kant asked the central government, who is being represented by Additional Solicitor General Aishwarya Bhati, to come out with clarity on the legality of Bitcoin itself. And what the bench asked the center was that they have to take a clear stand on as to whether or not Bitcoin was going to be legal or not, to allow the Supreme Court to actually proceed properly in these manners. Now, as you know, the central government has not still come out with a clear clarification on what the legal standing of Bitcoin is going to be. So that is a little bit of nudge that the Supreme Court is giving them with regard to this, that they need to come up with a clear stand so that the Supreme Court can go ahead and decide in the future cases about how exactly they need to be handled.
Absolutely. This is critical that the government really makes its stand clear as far as the legality of cryptocurrencies is concerned. And now the Supreme Court itself is asking the central government to take a clear stand right here. Help us understand with a little more context as to what this case was all about and what observations have you been seeing overall throughout this case?
Well, so actually this case was regarding one particular individual who was accused, like I told you, of scamming several people. His name was Amit Bharadwaj, and the scam that we are talking about almost consisted of about 87,000 Bitcoins, which was amounting to almost 20,000 crores. So it's a huge scale that we are talking about. So in this reference, this Amit Bharadwaj was arrested earlier in 2018. He later on also got bail in 2019. But what happened in 2022 was that the Enforcement Directorate issued not one, but multiple summons, not only to Amit Bharadwaj, but also his family members. So it was in reference to that the matter has now come up to the Supreme Court. What the Supreme Court has said is that Amit Bharadwaj will have to cooperate with the investigation. He will have to cooperate with the investigating officer and show up for interrogation as and when he is called upon. But at the same time, they've also modified their earlier order and granted him interim protection from arrest, at least for now, which means that during the course of the investigation, or at least until the next hearing, Amit Bharadwaj, according to the Supreme Court order, cannot, at least right now, be arrested. Now, there is also a logic as to why this interim protection has been granted, because there is no clarity on the legality of Bitcoin itself as of now. So it makes sense for the Supreme Court to go ahead and pass such a reasoned order to give somebody interim protection from arrest during the time of the investigation. At the end of the investigation, of course, if he's found guilty of fraud and if he's found guilty of scamming people, then an appropriate punishment will follow. But for now, he's been granted interim protection.
पर ऐसे समय पे हमने सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स का क्या स्टैंड देखा है? क्या उन्होंने ये बताया है कि किस टाइमलाइन पर क्या सरकार लीगैलिटी एस्पेक्ट पर सोच सकती है? क्योंकि हम लगातार देख रहे हैं कि सरकार एक के बाद एक स्टेप्स ले रही है क्रिप्टो करेंसीज पर। पहले आरबीआई के साथ मिलकर एक बैन हुआ जिसको सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ओवरटर्न किया, उसके बाद टैक्सेशन का अनाउंसमेंट हुआ बजट में, लेकिन अब सडनली हम देख रहे हैं कि जो बिल जिसकी बातचीत हो रही थी कि क्रिप्टो करेंसी बिल आएगा जिसमें क्लियर हो जाएगा कि आफ्टर ऑल इंडिया में क्रिप्टो करेंसीज में ट्रेड करना वो लीगल है या नहीं है। तो ऐसे समय पर सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स पर किस तरीके के उन्होंने स्टेटमेंट्स यहां दिए आपको?
तो साक्षी बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है जो हो रहा है सुप्रीम कोर्ट के सामने, क्योंकि जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट की बेंच ने ईएसटी ऐश्वर्या भाटी से ये बोला कि केंद्र सरकार को जरूरी है कि वो एक कंफर्म स्टैंड ले लीगैलिटी पे बिटकॉइन और क्रिप्टो करेंसी की, तब ऐश्वर्या भाटी ने भी सेम रिस्पॉन्स दिया जो हम काफी टाइम से निर्मला सीतारमण और बाकी भी सेंट्रल के रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स से सुनते आ रहे हैं। वो ये है कि हाँ, हम एक डेफिनेटिव स्टैंड लेंगे। इट इज इन द फ्यूचर कि वो एक स्टैंड लेंगे कि क्या होगी लीगैलिटी बिटकॉइन की, लेकिन अभी तक कुछ क्लैरिटी नहीं आई है सुप्रीम कोर्ट सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से, जिसकी वजह से सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उन्हें थोड़ा सा नज किया है कि आप जाके एक डेफिनेटिव स्टैंड लें कि क्या होने वाली है लीगैलिटी इस इशू पे, ताकि ना ही सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को बट सुप्रीम कोर्ट और बाकी कोर्ट्स को भी थोड़ी हेल्प मिले इस पूरी केसेस को गाइड करने के लिए। और
एब्सोल्युटली, ये आपने बहुत सही बात की नलिनी, क्योंकि मैं इसी पर आ रही थी। मेरा अगला सवाल यही होने वाला था कि आप अगर हमें समझा पाए, आप लगातार सुप्रीम कोर्ट को कवर कर रहे हैं, कई और ऐसे क्रिप्टो केसेस आते होंगे, तो ऐसे में लीगैलिटी एस्पेक्ट कैसे इम्पैक्ट करती है क्रिप्टो केसेस को डील करने में, डिसीजंस लेने में? अभी तक किस तरीके के सिचुएशंस फेस कर रहे हैं सभी ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट हो या फिर बाकी कोर्ट्स हो?
देखिए साक्षी, अभी तक कुछ भी क्लियर नहीं है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट, जहां तक हम सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर्स की बात करते हैं, सुप्रीम कोर्ट खुद से आके कोई लॉज नहीं बना सकता। सुप्रीम कोर्ट का लिमिटेड काम सिर्फ ये है कि वो आके लॉज को इंटरप्रेट कर सकते हैं। तो इस केस में सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट और लेजिस्लेचर का काम बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है, क्योंकि सारी पॉलिसी और लॉज उन्हीं को फ्रेम करने होंगे जो आगे जाके सुप्रीम कोर्ट इंटरप्रेट कर सके। तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट का काम हमेशा सिर्फ सेकेंड स्टेज पे ही आएगा इस रेफरेंस में। तो जब तक केंद्र सरकार अपनी तरफ से कुछ क्लैरिटी नहीं ला सकती, तब तक सुप्रीम कोर्ट या और कोई भी कोर्ट इसमें आगे कुछ नहीं कर पाएगा। लेकिन फिर भी जो केसेस सुप्रीम कोर्ट के सामने आ रहे हैं क्रिप्टो करेंसी और बिटकॉइन को लेके, वो उनको अपने जो उनके लिमिटेड उनका एस्पेक्ट है या स्कोप है, उस स्कोप को मद्देनजर रखते हुए काफी बारीकी से देख रहे हैं। ये एक इश्यू ऐसा है जो बहुत ही हॉट टॉपिक है, ना ही सिर्फ लोगों के बीच में बट कोर्ट्स के भी बीच में, क्योंकि क्रिप्टो करेंसी और उसकी लीगैलिटी इंडिया में क्या होने वाली है, उसका फ्यूचर इकोनॉमी पे बहुत बहुत बड़ा इम्पैक्ट पड़ेगा। तो इसलिए सुप्रीम कोर्ट बहुत ही क्लोजली मॉनिटर कर रहा है। वो अभी बहुत ही लिमिटेड एम्बिट और लिमिटेड स्कोप में ये वाले केसेस कंसिडर कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि एक वाइडर पॉलिसी सरकार की तरफ से।
Do you have any vague idea of the number of cases that are in front of the Supreme Court and other courts with respect to cryptocurrencies, so that we can also get an idea of what kind of cases are coming on, the number and the quantity that is coming it in?
Well, actually, we won't be able to give a definite number on the number of cases that are pending, because there are many different aspects of cryptocurrency regarding which cases are filed. Like the case we are seeing right now is essentially not a crypto case. It's a criminal case regarding a fraud and a scam, but which has undertones of bitcoins and cryptocurrency legality issues as well. And that is why we've seen such an important oral observation coming in from the Supreme Court, where they've asked the central government to take a clear stand. So even though we can't give you a definite number of how many such cases are pending across the courts in India, but it's safe to say that not only in Supreme Court, but even in the high courts, a lot of such cases would have come up, especially in the recent past few months, because there is so much of cloudiness regarding this entire aspect. So it is pertinent for the central government to act upon this, to come forth with some clarity and to provide some sort of relief, not only to a lot of people who are confused about this, but also in this case, judges who are now clearly coming out and asking central government to come forth and provide clarity on this entire issue.
Absolutely. This is very important. Thank you so much, Nalini, for being with us and sharing these thoughts. Of course, after the observations, the oral observations made by the Supreme Court, asking the center to make its stand clear on whether Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are legal or not, it is important not just for the citizens whose money is involved right here. Unofficial reports say that there are 10 crore people who have invested in cryptocurrencies. Finance, government, and officials from the government have already spoken to Business Today. I spoke to CBDT chairman as well in an exclusive interview after the budget as well. where he did say that there is a number of 40 exchanges currently working in cryptocurrencies realm. The biggest of them has an annual turnover of over 34,000 odd crore rupees. So we can understand the money that is being involved, and people are still finding themselves vulnerable with the cloudiness around this whole space, and the uncertainty in this whole space of cryptocurrencies. There is taxation, but the government has constantly maintained that taxation is not equivalent to legality of cryptocurrencies. And now the Supreme Court is definitely talking about the government to come forward and provide clarity on what its clear stand is. Now, whether this is by way of bringing a cryptocurrency bill, or by passing an ordinance, or by giving some certain statements, that is something that is required by the people of the country, the youth, which is absolutely concerned about what to do with their investments in cryptocurrencies and whether they are at the right side of the law or not. Thank you so much, Nalini, for sharing all these thoughts with us and sharing the, all the findings of what this report and Supreme Court observations are. Thank you so much for joining us with your thoughts.